We are happy to have Mark Perkins here with us. He's a Senior Community Development Specialist with Meramec Regional Planning Commission, and he's going to be talking to us today about a food hub feasibility study that they conducted. Mark, can you tell us about this study and how it fits into the local food system?
Yes, thank you, Kathy. I really appreciate being part of the Mo Eats Dixon Pulaski County event. Prior to strategic planning and meeting discussions, Meramec Regional Planning Commission with the Naturally Meramec Consortium identified product dissemination as one of the greatest barriers to small business growth in the Meramec region. So, with that being said, producers are willing to expand into additional market areas and buyers are willing to purchase the product. But in many cases, product transport is difficult or non-existent. So, to help overcome this barrier to growth, the consortium, with the assistance of the USDA Farmers Market Promotion Program, as well as the USDA Rural Business Development Grant, we did research on the feasibility of a food hub in the Meramec region. Now, as defined by the United States Department of Agriculture in their Regional Food Hub Resource Guide, the definition of a food hub or a regional food hub is a business or organization that actively manages the aggregation, distribution, and marketing of source-identified food products primarily from local and regional producers to strengthen their ability to satisfy wholesale, retail, and institutional demand. So the purpose of a food hub in the Meramec region is to address some of the challenges that producers face in rural regions. One of the barriers regularly identified is a lack of sufficiently developed distribution and processing infrastructure. Now, the USDA recognizes that larger producers benefit from existing infrastructure. However, this prevents some of the smaller producers from reaching wider food service markets, such as institutional or retail markets. Now, food hubs work towards solving this limitation by offering smaller producers the ability to coordinate and gain access to the distributional networks that previously only larger producers could afford. Now, when we conducted this food hub feasibility study, we sought to answer 4 questions. The first one was, is there a need for a food distribution system in the Meramec region? Is a food hub a potential solution to the food distribution need? If feasible, what food hub model might be used in the region? And finally, to what degree would businesses benefit to ensure participation?
So within this study, were you able to see opportunities for growth?
Yes. What we did was we found barriers but we also found solutions and we found opportunities. So aside from providing fresh, tasteful, and flavorful food options to the community, the largest impact a food hub has is its ability to provide new market outlets for both the small and mid-sized producers. So in other words, a food hub would help out some of your smaller rural businesses that have product to sell. Food hubs can fill the role of an aggregator, a processor, a distributor, but not all food hubs can fill every role. Many of these conditions are challenging for small to mid-sized farmers to meet. Now, however, multiple farms can come together in several different produce aggregation business models, and they can easily address these challenges, thus creating a food hub. Now, there are a number of topics that we discussed in order for us to get to our conclusions and what our next steps would be recommended in the food hub feasibility. The first area, which I've mentioned, is distribution. Now, I want to take a minute and talk about the existing farmers markets in the Meramec region. We currently have 13 farmers markets and other agribusinesses in the region that currently use the self-distribution method to get products into the hands of the consumer. Now, however, there are regional consumers, larger consumers, that use other companies to provide the ability to sell the local products to a larger market. The difficulty in increasing distribution for existing businesses ties to the concerns expressed in the survey results. And what I mean by survey results, we spent about 6 months to a year going all over the Meramec region, including Pulaski County and Dixon, meeting with sellers of product, producers of product, as well as buyers of product, and involved in the food system. And so we ended up coming up with many survey results. The ability of a grower producer to provide enough product on a consistent basis is the largest hurdle for many of the larger distributors. Now, we came up with some best practices that food hubs that are currently being operated in have and that they've recommended. According to Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, they have a page called Building Successful Food Hubs report. They suggest the web-based aggregator model aggregates goods without a central facility is probably the most beneficial to someone that doesn't have a lot of funds to be able to build a brick and mortar type facility. Now, this model creates virtual aggregation centers through an online marketplace that serves smaller scale customers, such as restaurants and even consumers, residences. The best practices example in Missouri is exemplified by the Kansas City Food Hub. Now, with this system, growers are expected to input their inventory for the week into a web-based tracking system. This is the benefit to the growers because if they determine they have additional inventory during any given week, they can update that information in real time. A web-based aggregation model falls in line with small to mid-size operations, and it avoids the need to purchase risky infrastructure and make a large financial investment that may not be possible in the beginning stages of an operation. Now, some of the survey results that I wanted to go over were most growers and producers surveyed produce and sell wine and meat within the region, among various other items such as honey, beer, produce, etc. The main point of sales occurred through individual websites, with marketing occurring online as well. Most survey participants were unfamiliar with the concept of a food hub, but were very interested in selling their products at a guaranteed price with the option for expansion and collaboration within the region. Now, the buyers' surveys mirrored several of the grower and producer results. However, buyers expressed concern with the availability of the products year-round and being able to purchase items wholesale. However, the majority still expressed very much high interest in purchasing produce and meat locally at a guaranteed price.
Well, this certainly sounds like an interesting opportunity. You've talked a lot about challenges and solutions to some of those. Are there other needs or challenges related to a food hub?
There are definitely other challenges. There are other needs, but there also are many opportunities. And before I get into a little bit more about the food hub challenges and barriers, I do want to mention when I went out and about doing these survey results, doing the surveys and coming up with the results, one of the things that I noticed that was a concern, but yet could be an opportunity, and that is there are many individuals, many farmers that are older, experienced, but are getting close to retirement. And so opportunity number one would be getting some younger farmers, younger apprentices in place to help continue producing products that are in demand. The second thing is there is a little bit of a gap between what restaurants, grocery stores, or what other institutions that would be considered buyers are looking for. You know, some of the farmers don't know what these institutions need or want. So maybe if there was a little bit of a connection between the two, then you might have some of these producers growing items that they may not have thought of before because they didn't realize there was demand for them. So I think that's very important to mention, is that, you know, there's a couple things there that are huge opportunities for the producers and growers. Getting a younger generation in there to offset some of the retirement of the older farmers, and then also getting products being produced that would be in much more demand for businesses in the area to buy, or even consumers to buy.
Well, that's certainly one of our goals with these conversations, is to hope to make some of those connections that you were talking about in opportunities. What do you see as needs and challenges?
The needs and challenges, the biggest needs and challenges would be the buyers are looking for products year round. They want to enter into agreements with producers where they don't have to worry about a product being able to be available year round. So the challenge would be the cost of these farmers having the ability to produce year round. So you would be looking at purchases of tunnels or indoor greenhouses to grow products. A lot of these smaller farmers that want to expand, they may not have the financial well-being to be able to do that. However, there are grants that are out there, and there are ways of getting beyond that that can help out with that challenge. The other big challenge that you run into is commercial kitchens. I know a lot of the products that are grown, if they are changed in any way whatsoever, and you're looking at wanting to sell them, there are regulations and rules that they have to be done. You know, with USDA support, with the state of Missouri support, Missouri Department of Agriculture support. And so a lot of times the biggest area is having a commercial kitchen to take your fruits and turn them into jellies, or take your tomatoes and turn them into salsa. There's rules and regulations for that, and a big area that is a concern and is a challenge is some of these farmers being able to have commercial kitchens. That again, I want to mention that does not mean that you can't have the ability to get a commercial kitchen. There are grants out there. There are ways that we can take a look at helping these farmers out to be able to provide funding or grants to be able to help out with some of these commercial kitchens. And a lot of times I've seen in some of the businesses in the Meramec region, they may have a commercial kitchen for a certain county, and that commercial kitchen is rented out to certain farmers for them to come in and make the product according to the guidelines or rules and regulations that they would have to follow with the USDA as well as the Missouri Department of Agriculture. So I would say those are a couple of the challenges that you run into, but like all challenges, if you can come up with ways to mitigate those challenges and find ways to help out these people in finding other ways, I think that's what's really, really important with the program here we're talking about.
Thank you, Mark. If you didn't have to think about the resources, the money and other types of resources, what is the one thing that you would like to see change in the local food system related to everything you've been talking about today?
Well, currently, most of the farmers that are the smaller scale, medium-sized scale farmers, they're doing self-distribution. In other words, they're growing their product, they're going to a farmer's market on a Saturday, or maybe they're making a produce box or a meat box or something where they're doing all the work, and it's taking them away from what they do best, and that is grow their product or make their product. So one area that I think would be very, very beneficial is distribution of these products. What goes back to the food hub. You know, distribution is something that would cost. It would cost some money to be able to have a centralized distribution of all of these farmers' products. So basically, the food hub would be this gigantic farmers market where the farmers would not have to always go on a Saturday and bring their products, where they could stay back at home that weekend and get ready, you know, start cultivating and get ready for their you know, their what they do best, and that's growing their products. So distribution is one big big area that I think if there was plenty of funds around, I would put my funding in that. The second thing is a centralized aggregator, a web-based aggregator model that would be very feasible for the Meramec region, that would allow the buyers, large buyers, to directly contact growers and producers regarding wholesale prices. It also gives growers and producers the ability to sell at retail prices to the general public. So in other words, it's a website that consumers can go on and order products, and sellers and producers could go on and put their products on. And then the distribution portion would be distribute these products to the restaurant, to the consumer, to whoever is purchasing these products. So that again is another option, if the funds were available, to be able to put together a food hub that would be considered a web-based aggregator, bringing the producers of product together with the buyers of product, all on the internet.
Well, thank you, Mark, very much for explaining what a food hub is and all the opportunities that are related to it. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Kathy, for having me. And if anyone has questions, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
All right, thank you.